Just earlier this week on episode number 235 of the Restaurant Strategy Podcast, I chatted with Danny Eichenhorst. Danny is the CEO and founder of Hustle Hospitality, a St. Louis-based restaurant group that she's helped grow over the last several years, really over the course since the pandemic. She's also a member of my mastermind. For the last 2 years, I've gotten to know her and her business very, very well, gotten to know her husband, her partners, her teams. I've been down there to St. Louis to work with the individuals, the managers, that work in the properties. She is incredible. She has helped me as much as I think I have helped her. So I wanted to invite her onto the show. I did that, and hopefully you got a lot out of that conversation. But she said in that conversation that she's a community builder. First and foremost, that's where she got her start. That's where she did a lot of her work before she came to restaurants. One of the things I think she's done really brilliantly down there, and we talked about it a little bit on that interview, is this idea of building a network, and something that I think a lot of restaurant owners lack. So today I want to tackle that head on. I want to finish that conversation that Danny and I started in episode 235. Today I want to talk about how we build a network. First and foremost, I want to talk about why I think you need a network and help you understand the power of a network. I'm going to talk about everything that I think you get and then how you can go and build your own network. Tons of actionable insights on this week's episode of Restaurant Strategy. Don't go anywhere.
There's an old saying that goes something like this. You'll only find 3 kinds of people in the world. Those who see, those who will never see, and those who can see when shown. This is Restaurant Strategy, a podcast with answers for anyone who's looking.
Thanks for tuning in. My name is Chip Close, and this is Restaurant Strategy, a podcast dedicated solely to helping you build a more profitable restaurant. We cover marketing, operations, and everything in between. Each week, I leverage my 20-plus years in the industry to help you build that more profitable and more sustainable business. I also work directly with operators all over the world through my P3 Mastermind program. You've heard me talk about this before, but what are the 3 Ps? They stand for profit, process, and progress. They are our core values. They are foundational to everything we do, and the program works. If you've got a busy restaurant but struggle to generate consistent, predictable 20% profit margins month after month, then please set up a free 30-minute strategy session. We'll get to learn more about you and your restaurant. You'll get to ask some questions about the program to see if you're a good fit for the program. There's no pressure to join, but if this is something you struggle with, profitability, I know we can help. Please set up a free call. Restaurant Strategy Podcast.com/schedule. You will find that link in the show notes. Now, are you frustrated with managing your catering and private events with pen and paper or outdated programs? I want to introduce you to TRIPLESEAT, the catering, sales, and event management software built for hospitality professionals by hospitality professionals. With TRIPLESEAT, you will increase revenue and efficiency, all while streamlining your operations. Let TRIPLESEAT be your catering and event management assistant. Generate leads, create tailored BEOs, facilitate online discussions, obtain electronic signatures, process payments, and everything else in between. TRIPLESEAT has you covered. Elevate and simplify your event management and take it to the next level with TRIPLESEAT so you can focus on what truly matters, providing unforgettable experiences for your clients. For more information, visit tripleseat.com/restaurant strategy. Again, that's tripleseat.com/restaurant strategy. As always, you will find that link in the show notes. Now, today is a formal extension of the conversation that I started on episode number 235 when I sat down with Danny Eichenhorst, one of the members of my P3 Mastermind. She's also a very accomplished restaurateur, and something she does very well is build communities. She said that. She's an activist and a community builder. She's done that for the last, 30 years in the St. Louis area. She's merely doing that now at the restaurant level as well, building a connection between the restaurants, the managers, the staff, and the patrons, with the community at large, with the city at large, and beyond, really connecting with other restaurant owners. So back in February, I went down to St. Louis to check in on Danny's restaurants. She has 2 restaurants, a third one that just came online, and then a 4th and a 5th location that are coming on in the next couple of months. And so she brought me down to check it all out, to see in real life, to talk to her staff, and to help coach them in much the same way that I help coach her in the mastermind. She is brilliant. I love getting to know her. Again, I said this in the top, but I think she's helped me as much as I hope I have helped her. One of the things that she really did that was amazing over the course of the pandemic, or I guess as we were coming out of the pandemic, she started reaching out to other restaurant owners in the St. Louis area to help bring them together. And really, she did it for selfish reasons. She was new to the restaurant industry at the time. Yes, she had partners, and yes, she had a good gut on her. So she knew how to make decisions. She was already an accomplished leader, but she just wasn't that versed in how we do things in the restaurant industry. So one of the reasons that I had gotten connected with her, and one of the reasons why she set up this community in St. Louis. So by community, all she did was reach out to other restaurant owners in her area, in other parts of the city, people she knew of and admired, and literally just picked up the phone or sent an email and said, hey, I'd love to pick your brain. Hey, I think I can help you. Hey, I think you can help me. I think maybe we can help each other. And over the course of the pandemic, she did these meetings, right, twice a year, where she gathered, at the beginning, she says she gathered like 6 restaurant owners together. They all came to her restaurant on Monday night because they were closed on Monday nights, and she gave them she gave them some food and a little bit of beer and wine, and they just sort of like chatted for 3 hours and came away with more insights or perspective than they otherwise would have had. That's how it started. And by the time I went down there just this past February, so now this is a couple of years into this this group that they pull together a couple times a year, but there were like 40 different restaurant owners in that room, and I realized how rare that was. Because the reality is that restaurant owners, at least independents, are siloed, right? We are on an island. We often feel like we're on an island, like we've got nobody to talk to. And for many of you listening, I'm guessing you are the top of your pyramid, right? You are the top of the food chain. You are the leader, the boss, the visionary, the everything in your building. And they say it's lonely at the top, and it can be very lonely at the top. You have to make big decisions that affect your family, your business, your livelihood, but also the livelihoods of many other people who you employ, many other people who you feed, the communities that you serve. That's a big deal. I understand what a big deal that is, and I think you do too. And I think you probably recognize that there are a lot of other listeners, right? There's thousands of people that tune into this show every single week, and you are all the top of your own unique pyramid. And one of the things that you get from community when you start networking, right? And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about building a network. One of the things you get is you realize you're not so alone. You're not on an island. You are a bunch of skyscrapers in a city, but you can all see each other, and you can all be connected to each other. You can help each other. So one of the things that drives me crazy is how siloed restaurant owners are. They feel like they're all alone. They feel like their problems are unique. And one of the very real things that you get from a network is that you realize that you are not alone, that your problems are not unique, and other people are dealing with the same things and maybe have solved some of the things that you are still struggling with. Likewise, there are things that you may have figured out that other people are struggling with. This is what you get when you build a network. Specifically, right? I think if we work together to build a network, and I'm not talking about a big formal network even, I'm talking about a community-based, grassroots, in your own corner of the world. I think there are 6 key areas where I think we can help each other, and I want to cover these one by one. Number 1, we can help with information sharing. Number 2, we can help with ideas and brainstorming, right? Really getting creative, thinking outside the box. Number 3, collaboration and partnerships. Number 4, leverage. Number 5, perspective. And number 6, this can't be ignored, a little bit of therapy. So when we talk about creating a network, specifically, I'm saying, do you have a group of people who are at your level doing what you do that you can reach out to, whose brains you can pick? It is very lonely at the top. Even me, myself, as a restaurant coach, what I do is very unique. There aren't many people out there doing it. Yes, there are more and more doing it. There are consultants, there are coaches and all of that. But unless I lean on them and help them and allow them to help me, I can't get better at my job. I can't get better at serving the people that I serve. That's one of the big thrusts over the last couple of years. The last several years, I've had my own coach. I couldn't coach without having my own coach. I see the value of that. But more than that, now I've got a network of peers who do what I do. Thought leaders who write, who podcast, who speak from the stage, people who help operators and owners in their own corner of the world or all over the world. right? We have things in common. We have stresses, we have issues, we have challenges, and we've got things to celebrate that are very, very unique. That's me personally. I have worked hard over the last 1.5 to 2 years to build a network of people who understand sort of what I struggle with, what I go with, what I deal with, what I'm trying to do. The same is true for you, for restaurant owners. You have restaurants all over your town, your city, your block, your region. There are other people who struggle with the things that you struggle with, and I want to urge you over the course of this episode to build your own network, to say, yes, a network is a valuable thing, and I want a group of peers who I can bounce ideas off of, and people who can help me, people who I can help. And again, if you do that, if you build a network, I think there are 6 key areas that I just outlined, and I want to go through and bullet point each one. I want to dig a little bit deeper into that. So the first one I said was information sharing. And I can't tell you what a big deal this is. If you're getting a better rate on chicken or eggs or your processing fees or whatever it is, your linen, or somebody else is getting a better deal on chicken or processing fees or linen, you want to know. You should know. There's a little bit of leverage that we have, and if somebody says, hey, I'm actually getting this rate, you should go back to your processor, your processing company, and tell them that, you can tell whether you have a good rate or not. I know people have everything from about 1.2% up to about 4.2%. That's a huge swing, and that translates into tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars every single year in revenue if you've got a better rate or a worse rate. So wouldn't it be beneficial to understand where people are getting their, who people are using for their credit card processing, what they're paying, what sort of agreement they have in place? Again, we feel like these are all unique individual negotiations that happen behind closed doors, but man, they don't have to be. If we start sharing these things publicly, we can help each other, we can help ourselves. So simply being able to share information, or hey, this is the POS system we use. This is the reservation system we use. This is the email service provider we use. This is what we pay. This is what we're able to do. Hey, this is how we use it. You can use it this way as well. Just by sharing information back and forth, you will get better. You will improve your business, either directly in getting better rates, being able to go back and negotiate with a little leverage, or at the very least, by getting ideas. By just hearing what other people are doing. And of course, that leads us right to the next one. Number 2 is this idea of ideas and brainstorming, sharing creative thoughts, being creative with other people. So often it feels like we're on a hamster wheel, right? We're just trying to keep up. And if we just step out, take the time to work on the business, even if it's just a half an hour a week or an hour a week, or if you're going to get together for an hour or two with your mastermind group, with a group of peers, once a week or once a month even, that's time you're dedicating to not working in your business, but working on the business. You can take time to think creatively, to think outside the box, to brainstorm with each other and think bigger than yourselves. That is not to be diminished. One of the best parts about the program that I run, the group I run, is I watch this stuff happen in real time. I watch people get ideas. I watch people get ideas by some of the things I say. I watch people get ideas from some of the things that other people in the group say. It's incredible to be a part of that, to just be one small piece, a connector for a broader network. But I promise you, when you share information and when you share ideas, you get better. And other people share information and ideas, and you get better. Now that leads us to the next thing, collaboration and partnerships. A lot of times we silo ourselves purposely because we think, oh, these other restaurants are our competition. They are my competitors. I am competing against the restaurant across the street for dinner dollars. And what I think we forget, or we neglect to acknowledge, is that if somebody's in the mood for sushi, they're not coming to get tacos. Likewise, if someone's in the mood for tacos, they're not going to get sushi. You're in the mood for something on a given night, and just by being on the same block, you are creating a place where people go, where people that attract people to go eat dinner. Whether they're dining with you tonight or whether they're going to dine with you tomorrow night or the next night, they will come and join you. You got to create a product that's good enough, an experience that's good enough so that when they're in the mood for, let's say, tacos, they come to your taco place as opposed to another taco place. But for the most part, I think we have many fewer competitors than we actually think. I think more than anything else, the other restaurants in our market are collaborators, not competitors. And that begs the question of how are you collaborating with them? How can you use that network effect, the power of all of you being together, to create stronger partnerships and stronger collaboration opportunities? And I think if you start thinking in those terms, rather than, hey, these aren't our competitors, they are our collaborators, I think you'll come up with really ingenious, creative ways to partner with them. And I've seen it happen all the time. So Danny, when I was down in St. Louis, Danny was talking about the guys at Mission Taco and about how they did a hot dog taco collaboration. Because again, if you're in the mood for hot dogs, you're not going to get tacos. And if you're in the mood for tacos, you're not getting hot dogs. So what does it matter for them to cross-pollinate? So they did like a hot dog taco and they did a taco hot dog. And they collaborated with each other a couple of years ago, and they've largely kept up that sort of relationship. Now, are they going to partner with each other all the time? No, not necessarily. But every so often, you can use that to sort of cross-pollinate, to leverage the strength of your lists and your fan bases to help the other one. Because again, you're going to help them, but they are going to help you. Again, the idea of collaboration and competition, I'm focused on this a lot this year because I think we don't talk enough about it. And I think we look at it the wrong way. But there's a mindset shift that's required to see these people not as competitors, but as partners, as collaborators in what you're trying to accomplish. What you're trying to accomplish is feed people, create great experiences that people want to come back and be a part of. So challenge you to do that. And again, by building a network, you will do that. So information sharing, idea sharing, brainstorming, getting creative with people, building collaborations and partnerships, all of this is something you get out of a network of peers. Literally getting in a room with other restaurant owners, not other restaurant professionals, but other people who are at your level doing what you do. It can be powerful. The other thing you can get, we touched on this a little bit, is leverage. If you understand what somebody's paying for their linen prices or their chicken prices or their egg prices or their processing, you get a little bit of leverage. Likewise, with rent, when you're lobbying for liquor license, when you're trying to do a block party and you need street closures and all of that, when you band together, you have leverage. And this is something that the big restaurant chains all have. Because they are big, they have hundreds of locations, and they all work together to lobby together. They lobby government. So maybe you're not going to go lobby government, but if you need a bus stop moved, if you need a stop sign put in, if you need something cleared to become a parking lot, if you need a block shut down for your annual block party, well, better you go in mass, create a force of 5, 6, 7, 8 restaurant owners who are all trying to get the same thing done. And the same thing is true when you're trying to negotiate things or lobby for things at the state or federal level. Again, the restaurant groups, the chains, have a lot of power because they all band together. They're all part of a giant restaurant group, right? You don't have the leverage that Darden has. But you can start somewhere, and you start by putting it together, right? This is what you get from the restaurant associations for sure. But the bigger they get, the harder it is. And I'm saying even at the local level, at your block, in your neighborhood, I think there's leverage you have if you only realized it by banding together. The other thing you get really honestly is perspective, right? I always say perspective and accountability sort of go hand in hand. But when you're in a group together and you say, hey, I'm going to do this, somebody's going to give you perspective that you don't have. Sometimes we're just so deeply embedded in our business that we can't see the forest for the trees. And when you bring it to outside people that are not so deeply embedded, they can raise their hand and say, hey, I don't think you're thinking about this, or have you considered this or that? They're going to bring perspective because they're going to be able to be objective. You, by nature, it being your business, you're passionate about it. You're emotional about it. It is connected to your livelihood, to your identity. For many of us, our businesses are connected to our identity. So we do lose perspective, and this is something valuable you can get. And likewise, the other piece to it is accountability. If you say you're going to do something, who's holding you accountable to actually do it? Oftentimes, when you're in a group setting like that, they're going to hold you accountable. They're going to call your bluff if you don't do something. If you say you're going to do it and you don't do it, they're going to say, "Hey, that's why bother? Stop wasting our time. Why don't you? They're going to hold you accountable. Hopefully, it's one of the best things you get out of a group setting. And then finally, and I made a joke earlier when I ran through it, but therapy, right? There is something therapeutic about getting together and sort of airing your grievances and realizing you're not as alone as you thought you were, that you're not doing as badly as you thought you were when you see other people struggling with the same things. So when I get my mastermind group together, I say, hey, this isn't group therapy. This is results-based, right? It's results-oriented. What do you want to accomplish? What are we going to do to try to accomplish that goal? And then we see whether we accomplished the goal or we didn't accomplish the goal. But along the journey there, right? So it's not group therapy. It's not us getting together, bitching at each other and, complaining and making each other feel better, say it's okay. That's not what it's about. But there's a little bit that happens on our journey. And it can't be, again, this can't be overlooked. Sometimes it's very therapeutic to hear other people struggling with things that you're struggling with or dealing with things that are worse than what you're dealing with. It does put it, to bounce back one bullet point, it does put your problems in perspective, right? You can help bring perspective to other people's problems and help calm them down, help lower their anxiety level. When you get together with a group of your peers and share the nuts and bolts about what you're dealing with, when you share information and ideas and collaborate and bring partnerships, you get leverage, all of that is incredible. That's everything you get from being in a group. And I'm hoping that a lot of you guys are sitting there and listening and nodding your head and saying, all that sounds great. Well, I'm going to talk to you in just a few minutes about how you can do this on your own. You don't need some big fancy group. You don't need a formal invitation. You can do this on your own. We're going to talk about that in just a minute after a word from another one of our sponsors. Now, running a restaurant is already a tough job. You're busy keeping customers fed and employees paid while working with razor-thin profit margins. The last thing you should be worried about is if you're doing sales tax right. That's why you should consider automating sales tax for your restaurant point-of-sale system. Collecting and filing sales tax on your own can be stressful. It can be time-consuming. It can leave your business vulnerable to accidentally missing tax payments or not having enough money in the bank to actually cover your tax obligations. DAVO by Avalara simplifies sales tax for your restaurant and brings peace of mind through automation to help you pay the full amount you owe on time. Just integrate the DAVO app with your existing POS like Clover or Toast or Spot On and set up your business and banking information. DAVO will take sales data from your POS system and determine how much sales tax you collected each day. Then it sends a request to your bank to have your sales tax put into a secure holding account. This keeps your sales tax separate from your revenue and helps reduce potential confusion about available funds. You'll get a daily email from DAVO letting you know exactly how much sales tax was transferred. And when your sales tax is due, DAVO automatically remits your sales tax to the appropriate authority on your behalf, in full and on time. Is your restaurant in a state that does on-time filing discounts? If it is, then DAVO will automatically send this refund back to your bank. Don't let sales tax spoil your business. Stay on top of sales tax with automation from DAVO by Avalara, so you can spend less time in the back office and more time in the front of house. Learn more at DAVOsalestax.com/restaurant strategy. Again, DAVO, DAVO, salestax.com/restaurant strategy, and try DAVO free for the first month. As always, you will find that link in the show notes. Now, talked all about the benefits of a networking group, of building a group of your peers, right? What you get from being in a group. And in my opinion, I think there are two ways you can go about joining a group. You can literally, number one, you can join an existing mastermind. I run a mastermind, the P3 Mastermind. I talk about this on every single episode so that you know that I do that, right? To date, I've put something like 55 people already through the program. We've got 45 people currently enrolled in the program, split between two groups. We've already closed one group. We've capped that out. We're now filling the last few spots of a second group. Maybe we'll start a third group. But there is a benefit to joining an existing mastermind if that mastermind is focused on the things that you want to solve. For me, one of the big things that we solve for is profitability, right? Getting people to find consistent, predictable profits, 20% profits every single month. So the restaurants that I work with are successful. They've been around for a year. They're generating a lot of revenue. They're just not dropping a consistent number to the bottom line. That's the focus of our mastermind. And of course, we cover much more in our journey to solving the the profitability problem. But that's what our group is all about. And again, we've got restaurant operators from all over the world. But now maybe you're opening a restaurant, right? So maybe my group is not appropriate for you. Maybe you need to go find a group of other people who are just about to open a restaurant, or the group of people who are in their first year of running their restaurant. That might be a particular benefit to you to talk with a bunch of people who are opening a restaurant right now in this environment. I've got a couple of those people in my group, but it's not really what I do. Really what I do is focus on existing businesses that have already got a solid audience, are generating a good amount of revenue, and we just help them drop a reasonable, consistent number to that bottom line. I always say consistent, predictable profits. So you could go out and find a mastermind group. There are a lot of people out there that do what I do. Many of them are very, very good. I connect with a lot of these guys at shows, at trade shows, at expos, at conventions all over the country. I love hearing what they're doing, how they're structuring their program, how they're helping people. It just helps me get better at what I do, and I share what I do, and hopefully it makes them better at what they do. So there are a lot of options out there. Obviously, if you're struggling with the things with profitability, I'd love for you to call me. I'd love to talk to you, but it doesn't have to be me. You can go find a formal mastermind. But if that's not what you're looking for, if you don't want to go join a formal mastermind group, fine. Go put together your own group, your own network of people. It's very easy. It begins by knocking on doors, by sending emails, by picking up the phone and calling people. The most important piece of this, though, is it's got to be peers, people who do what you do, who are at your level. Right? So you don't want to go, again, if you've been around for 5 or 6 years, the things you struggle with are different than the things somebody struggles with in their first year of business. So I would say pull together a group of people who are in your same position. It's just going to help. You can have some diversity in there by all means. Some people have younger restaurants, some people who have older restaurants, but it's really going to help you to find people who are in your same sort of life cycle, the same spot in the life cycle of the restaurant. Mainly what matters is consistency. Don't just set up a meeting, get together, chat, and then let it be. Set up a set meeting. I would recommend, if you're just going to put together a group on your own, set a cadence of every month or every other month. I think you'll find that really beneficial. Say, hey, the first Monday of every month, we're going to get together for 2 hours from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock or 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock, right? You're going to be there for dinner with your family. You're going to put your kids to bed, and then you're going to go meet this group. Whatever that is, change around where you go. Maybe each restaurant owner in the group hosts you at their restaurant, right? Maybe everybody kicks in $20, and that helps sort of cover the food and the wine. Doesn't have to be a lot, just a little snacky stuff so you don't starve, some snacky stuff so you don't get wasted, right? And maybe a couple bottles of wine or a couple of cases of beer, whatever it is that you need. And you don't have to drink, you don't have to eat. You can just get around and take notes with each other and share. The most important thing is that there's some consistency. The other thing I would say is come up with some prompt, some way to get the conversation going. I would recommend saying whoever's hosting the event kicks off, comes up with the icebreaker question, right? And so maybe the question is, hey, who figured out something marketing-wise this month that you want to share? And so everybody will share something that they discovered, something they learned in the marketing side of their business. Maybe it's some operations thing. Maybe it's maybe it's a struggle. Hey, what's the biggest problem you have in the restaurant right now? And you just go around and everyone says, hey, the biggest thing I'm struggling with is this, is that, is whatever it is. What it does is it gets everybody talking, and it gives you a way to start the conversation, right? The other thing you can do is give more focus to the conversation by bringing in outside speakers, outside consultants, people like that. You can certainly address the crowd, question and answer with the crowd. You can also break up into smaller groups, right? If you've got to end up having a big group of 20, 30, 40, maybe you want to spend a chunk of the time splitting up into smaller groups of 10. Make sure you've got enough time that over the course of the 2 hours, you sort of map out what it is. If it's just 2 hours where you're sitting around a table looking at each other, I don't know that it's going to be as productive as if you come in with some sort of agenda. Now, maybe, and this is certainly something we do in my mastermind, maybe you share P&Ls. Maybe you talk about your profitability. Maybe you talk about where your COGS are at. Maybe you talk about where your labor is at, what you're doing specifically to get those labor numbers down, to get those COGS numbers down. Maybe there's some focus in that way. It doesn't have to be much. Just give it a little bit of structure, even just to get the ball rolling, right? Maybe part of it is that everybody goes around and asks a question of the group. Maybe so everybody has an icebreaker, and then the next time around the circle, everybody gets to ask a question of the group, and that will lead to 10 or 15-minute conversations in that group. So maybe the question is, hey, what's everyone paying for their credit card processing? Hey, who's everyone using for their POS system, and what do you think of them? I'm thinking about changing POS systems, so I want to know what all you guys are using, right? You can see how this goes. So if you do 2 laps of that, right? If you do the icebreaker question, and then everybody gets to go around and ask a question of the group, and everybody in the group gets to respond and answer, well, then we've probably taken up about an hour or an hour and a half of our 2 hours. And then I always recommend leaving a little bit of sort of mix and mingle time in the beginning and also at the end, so people don't feel like they got to race out of there. If it's a 2-hour meeting, keep it specifically at 2 hours, because people are busy, people have families, people have other things going on. So make sure you stay true to your word. You start on time and you end on time. I would recommend, even if you are part of a formal group, right? So I gather operators from all over the world, but I don't know, maybe the people in West Palm want to gather people, other restaurant owners in West Palm. Maybe there are specific challenges that they struggle with, and they just want to get together and talk about it. I think there's value to that. And again, maybe it's every month, maybe it's just on the odd numbered months. There's all different ways that you can structure it, but I would say be consistent and regular about what you do. And at the end of the day, you're going to get those 6 things we talk about, right? You're going to be able to share information. You're going to be able to collaborate. You're going to be able to build partnerships. You're going to share ideas, right? And you're going to brainstorm, be creative with each other. You're going to provide people some leverage just by having a group together. You're going to offer perspective to the other people in the group. They're going to do the same thing for you. And then finally, man, there's going to be some therapy going on. It is nice to just know that you are not alone, that you've got friendly faces. They always say as adults, it's so hard to make friends, right? And it's especially true when you run your own business. Right? You often run ragged. You're there all the time. The phone's always ringing. You're always putting out fires. So maybe this is where you find some friends. This is where you find some connection by meeting other people who are dealing with the same things that you're dealing with. And maybe you're not going to be best friends, but maybe being able to have some solidarity and share some ideas with each other and help each other out is just what the doctor ordered. Again, this is the follow-up to episode number 235 when I sat down with Danny Eichenhorst. Danny is one of the members of my group, but she has also launched her own group in St. Louis they meet twice a year. You can meet at whatever cadence you want, but if you're just putting it together for the first time, I would say make it happen more often than you think, but not so often that people will grow weary of it. So my group meets every single week, but there are very specific things that we're focused on solving, and I believe 2 hours every week is required. If you're going to put together a group in your market, in your area, in your city, in your neighborhood, maybe just meet once a month or once every other month to start. But the biggest thing is to just get started. Right? Pick up the phone, send an email, knock on some doors, go have a drink at somebody else's bar, give them your card, start that conversation. I think you'll find a lot of friendly faces. I think you'll find a lot of people would love to do this. And again, be the community organizer. Don't wait for someone else to do it. If you're listening to this podcast, you are focused on taking action. You are focused on improving your business. This is a key way to improve your business. And I can't tell you exactly how a mastermind, how a network like this will help you. All I can tell you is, having done this for many years now, it will absolutely help you. It will help your business in profound ways that you cannot even imagine yet. That's what I wanted to talk about today, the power of a network, right? The network effect, and how you go about building a network, right? Why I think it's important and how you go about doing it. You do it by just doing it. Listen, as always, I appreciate you guys being here. If you want to learn more about my mastermind, please reach out. restaurantstrategypodcast.com/schedule. Set up a free 30-minute call with me. It's absolutely free. I'll get to learn more about you and your business. You get to ask some questions about the program that I run, the mastermind that I run. We can see if you're a good fit for the program. I appreciate you guys being here. I know there are a lot of great podcasts focused on restaurants. I appreciate you making time for this one. Hope you got some value out of this one, as I hope you get value out of each and every week. If you haven't listened to episode 235 with Danny Eichenhorst, I promise you it's not one that you want to miss. Appreciate you being here, guys, and I will see you next time.